If you're currently wrestling with grief, know that you are not alone. Grief has touched me now for the second time in life, this time being the loss of an unborn child. And so I understand and appreciate just how challenging being in this space of grief can be, and how it can impact one's standing resolute in their faith. How it can be difficult to praise God on one hand and understand and sit with the grief on another. And perhaps you're in this no man's land right now, that space between having asked for support, prayed for help, and waiting for that change, that shift to arrive. If this is you, then in this video I want to share a synthesized short story to support a technology that I've used to help alchemize my grief into gratitude. Little insight into my own personal story, and I'll touch on some tantric teachings too. Who am I though? Hi, my name is David William Pierce. I'm an alignment specialist and am now using the grief that's touched me in life to support others in alchemizing theirs, so they don't have to suffer for longer than they choose to. And I know how easy it is to sit in that suffering, to avoid and push away, even bringing it close and acknowledging, moving through those stages of grief. But in tantric teachings, energy that is left undigested solidifies, can get stuck in the mind, then in the body, and create dis-ease. And eventually needs addressing. So rather than letting it fester for longer than necessary, an invitation to move through it, to allow me to join you even just for a few moments on your journey, so that you can find some absolution and some support. I have a short story for you. Now this short story is about a boy named Prem. Prem being a derivation of a Sanskrit word for love. And these short stories I've synthesized have been helping me in understand what's been going on in my own grief journey, in helping me move through it in a more conscious way. And so I want to share today's story with you. The Baker of Two Seasons. Upasthiti Śānti, presence, peace. Dear adventurer, Prem woke early, as he always did, heart heavy with both a hymn and a hole. He could taste the mountain, last week's answered prayer, and feel the valley, today's quiet worry about someone he loved. In the market, people shouted bargains for comfort. Prem tried to buy peace with busyness and found only heavier pockets. He carried the two things at once, a lifted voice and a folded grief. One evening, while laying the last loaf on his stall, a woman in plain clothes sat behind him and spoke softly. "He's here," she said. "It's handled." Prem tried them on like a cloak. "He's here. It's handled." And his shoulders stopped bracing the way they did when fear lived in his chest. The woman taught him a tiny ritual. Offer the tug of grief into the fire of attention. Breathe and repeat the words until they settle. Then hand one small warm thing to another person. Prem offered his worry aloud, that secret loop that said God was only at the peaks. He breathed, spoke Upasthiti Śānti until the mantra felt like a friend, then gave a loaf to a child who had none. As the child smiled, Prem felt the rhythm change. The peak and trough were not enemies, but a heartbeat God played together. He learned to live in the middle of the song. Presence brought peace, and peace made him brave enough to keep giving. Each time the old lie rose, you're not a laugh in the trough. Prem let the two words move through him and remembered. Presence, peace, Upasthiti Śānti. This story is speaking into how oftentimes we seek God when we're at the bottom of the well, and we can often feel like we're alone down there, that we're suffering alone. But that's not true. It speaks into the impurities of Tantric teachings, the impurity of individuation and the impurity of differentiation being the first two, the misguided belief that we are separate and that we are different. But when we can remember that we're a unique vantage point of the one universal consciousness, God, universe, whatever label you want to ascribe to it, that we were never separate, that we were never alone, and that we're never different from someone else, that you are me and that I am you, and that even though we look individual, even though we look separate, we're simply different expressions, unique perspectives of that one consciousness. It's like the analogy, we're each a different finger, but we're all on the same hand. And so whilst we appear separate, while we appear individual, we're actually part of that one collective. This mantra, Upasthiti Śānti, Upasthiti meaning presence, Śānti meaning peace, pairs a concrete focus, presence, with a felt quality that you want, peace. Likelihood is, if you're experiencing grief and loss right now, peace is something that you may be struggling to find. I know that I was. The first time I experienced grief after a loss, I was distraught, in pieces. I would break down in front of friends. I would find myself in tears on the floor, struggling on the phone to loved ones. Peace was something that I struggled to find. And so by pairing breath, prana, and sound, nada, it clears the subtle channels, the nadis, that keeps loops alive. So in Tantric teachings, thoughts and feelings aren't separate. They're opposite ends of the same spectrum. They're inextricably linked. You can't have a thought without a feeling, or a feeling without the thought. They're opposite sides of the same coin. And so if you're experiencing deep emotional pain, know that there is a thought construct attached to it, and vice versa. If you're experiencing looping thoughts in your mind, they fuel attached emotions. Being able to understand and recognize the totality of both empowers us to understand the subconscious beliefs that they originate from. I'm trying to think of the word in Sanskrit. I keep thinking of the wrong word. What is it? Vikalpas. There it is. So in Sanskrit, they're called vikalpas. They're these stories that reside in the subconscious mind, which are sometimes fabrications and not grounded in truth. And when we hold on to these fabricated beliefs, they instigate attached thought constructs, which we then vocalize as speech, as the spoken word. And these then solidify into actions, behaviors, and manifest reality. Being able to discern the difference between a vikalpa that is grounded in truth, in the word of God, of the universe, from ones that are fabrications, false constructs of our mind, allows us to purify our being, our thoughts, our feelings, our spoken word, so that we can then create, manifest the life that we are desiring. And this is the power of mantric tools. This is the beauty of the Sanskrit language. It's said to be a divine language because the words vibrate at the frequency of the thing to which they point. Therein, by expressing those words, you vibrate at that essence and become that entity. And so these words are designed to purify. This mantra of Upasthiti Śānti, presence and peace, by repeating it, whether mentally or out loud, grounds and anchors and purifies so that peace can be found through presence. Repeating Upasthiti Śānti on each exhale trains the nervous system to expect steadiness in the face of the valley, so the heart learns a new default. God is present, therefore I can rest. Use it as both early morning anchor and mid-valley rescue. It's a powerful tool when used. Let it reverberate through you as you repeat it, Upasthiti Śānti. And I've used it as part of not just my meditation practice, going to bed and waking up, but also part of my movement and breathing practice, letting it reverberate through me and expressing it as fully as I can. And this really supported me in my own grief journey, in those moments where I was getting lost in thought loops and weighed down by emotion, using these tools, which are, they're not fabrications. They're not steeped in anything other than essence, in purity. And so that's why they work so effectively. They're not stained by our own experience. And so support in purifying those vikalpas and smoothing over those samskaras. Samskaras are energetic scars that get stuck in the body. And when we can smooth those over, we create the spaciousness for life to move through us more fluidly so that we can align with it and move in harmony rather than feeling stuck at the bottom of the valley. It allows us to ascend back to the peak. And when we get there, not forgetting that it was God that brought us there. And so that's what I have for you today. A little Tantric insight just before we leave. Tantra gives us a working theology of habit. Systems of feeling are literally channels, vibrational, neural, somatic, that repeat until something with different cadence rewires them. Mantra and breath are not mystical frills. They are technologies that change rhythm. We're all vibration. this body is vibration. It's just a very solidified vibration with a cycle of about 80 years. Offer the hidden loop to the altar of attention so the secrecy loses fuel. Empower the field with sound and breath so the subtle channels soften. Embody the claim with small visible actions so reality records the new loop. Repetition makes the new groove stronger than the old. It's like walking a new path. The more you repeat the mantra, the more you vibrate at that essence, the more strong that groove becomes and the more purified the channels be. Practically, Tantra's value here is humility. The change is small, bodily and cumulative. It asks less of you than perfection and more than thinking. It asks for rhythm. If you can just get in the rhythm of the mantra rather than getting in the rhythm of the grief, it will create and instigate change. When practiced gently, these micro-rituals allow grief and praise to be held together, transforming the valley from evidence of absence into a place where God's presence is learned moment by moment. I'm not saying that this is easy, but it is simple. And if it doesn't feel it for you, then I empathize and I understand. It wasn't for me. It took me, each time grief touched me, it took about a year for me to move through it. So if you're on that journey now, I understand. And if you'd like support in moving through it more efficiently, then I offer grief alchemy sessions where we can not just hear your experience so you can feel heard and seen, but we can start to identify the thought constructs, the loops, and the limiting beliefs that are inhibiting you from alchemizing the grief into gratitude and turning that loss into love. So if that's of interest to you, invitation to like, subscribe, to join the mailing list, or to reach out and have a one-on-one session. It's the combination of classical tantric teachings and modern hypnotherapeutic tools to loosen up those vikalpas and smooth over those samskaras so that you can harmonize with life once again and move effortlessly with the flow of being. Thank you.